Senator Grassley.
Yeah. Since you're a currently sitting judge, you're bound by the code of conduct of U.S. judges. Nevertheless, I hope that we can get frank answers from you on your views. And when we talked last on the phone, you told me you would get guidance from the administrative office on what you can or can't say. I assume that you sought that guidance. If so, what did they advise you?
Yes, Senator Grassley, I did, and they advised me just as you and I thought that they would. Canon 3 bars me from commenting on any pending or impending case that is in any court, but I am free to talk about policy with you.
Okay. I'm going to go to the Durham investigation. At Barr's hearing, he stated the following regard to Mueller's investigation, quote, "It's virtually important that the special counsel be allowed to complete his investigation." Also at that same hearing, Senator Feinstein asked, quote, "Will you commit to providing Mr. Mueller with the resources, funds, and time needed to complete his investigation?" End of quote. Attorney General Barr answered Senator Feinstein with a one-word yes. With respect to Special Counsel Durham's investigation, I expect that he will be allowed to complete his investigation. If confirmed, will you commit to providing Special Counsel Durham with the staff, resources, funds, and time needed to thoroughly complete the investigation?
So, Senator, I don't have any information about the investigation. As I sit here today, and another one of the very first things I'm going to have to do is speak with Mr. Durham to figure out how his investigation is going. I understand that he has been permitted to remain in his position, and sitting here today, I have no reason to think that that was not the correct decision.
Okay, and I suppose that would be an answer that he would only be removed for cause then? Would that be your position?
Well, Senator, I really do have to have an opportunity to talk with him. I have not had that opportunity. As I said, I don't have any reason from what I know now, which is really very little, to make any determination on that ground, but I don't have any reason to think that he should not remain in place.
Okay. If confirmed, would you commit to publicly releasing Special Counsel Durham's report just like Mueller report was made public?
So, Senator, I am a great believer in transparency. I would, though, have to talk with Mr. Durham and understand the nature of what he's been doing and the nature of the report. But I am very much committed to transparency and to explaining Justice Department decision-making.
At this point, I'm not going to take exception to the answers you gave me about Durham because I think you're an honorable person. They're not quite as explicit as I hope they would be, like we got from Barr for the Mueller investigation. But I think you've come close to satisfying me, but maybe not entirely. We're in the midst of a polydrug crisis. In addition to opioids, methamphetamine, and cocaine, fentanyl and fentanyl analogs are plaguing our country. Increasingly sophisticated drug trafficking organizations, both domestic and internationally, try to skirt the law by changing their molecular structure. So the Center for Disease Control has found that drug overdose deaths rose their highest level ever measured during the pandemic, with the overall jump in deaths being driven most substantially by drugs like fentanyl. We must stop this fentanyl substance from entering our neighborhoods and killing thousands of Americans. So my question is, as you lead the Justice Department, having oversight over the Drug Enforcement Administration within that department, and they will be addressing the spread of fentanyl analogs and related substances by pushing for continued class class-wide prohibition of fentanyl. So I didn't quite make my question clear. Would you lead the Justice Department in pushing for continued class-wide prohibition of fentanyl dialogues?
Senator, I'm familiar with this problem. One of my roles as the Chief Judge of the D.C. Circuit was to serve on the Pretrial Services Committee on the Committee for the Pretrial Services Agency for the district, and we were constantly advised of the fact that the formula was being slightly changed constantly, and this was a problem both for detection as well as for the problem of enforcement. To be honest, I'm no chemist. This is one of the reasons I ended up being a lawyer instead of a doctor. But I would need to look at what would be proposed. But I do understand the scope of this problem, and I'm in favor of doing something either by scheduling or legislation, if I'm confirmed, that would address the problem that you're talking about, which is an enormous problem for enforcement.
Yeah. I want to go to the death penalty because we have some people already prosecuted where the death penalty has been advocated or sought, and one of those is the people that were involved in Boston Marathon. So the question, the Justice Department, again under the Obama administration, sought and received an appropriate sentence of death. That sentence is currently being appealed. Will you commit to defending these sentences on appeal?
Well, Senator, now we're rubbing up against exactly the problem that you asked me about in the beginning. These are pending cases, and as a sitting judge, the canons bar me from making comment on pending cases.
My last question will have to deal with the investigation that's underway by some of us in Congress about Hunter Biden. Have you discussed the case with the president or anyone else? And I don't expect you to discuss your private conversation with the president, but members of this committee always ask judges or other people, did you discuss with the president, for instance, your position on abortion? So have you discussed this Hunter Biden case with the president or anyone else?
I have not. The president made abundantly clear in every public statement before and after my nomination that decisions about investigations and prosecutions will be left to the Justice Department. That was the reason that I was willing to take on this job. And so the answer to your question is no.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks, Senator Grassley.